Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum. So in this game, I am up against a player from a 1700 MMR player from the 201 server. So in this game, I'm playing as a speed specialist, starting off with sledgehammers and marksman, and I'm up against a fortified specialist with sledgehammers and crawlers. Sledge marksman is probably one of the stronger startup unit compositions. Sledgehammers serve the purpose both as a tank, but also as a chaff clear, allowing the marksmen to deal damage to the opponent's carry units. Now, in this round, I did decide to just go with some arc lights because I wanted to put a bit more pressure on one side. I could go with crawlers, but a crawler may not win against the fight against the enemy crawlers. So I wanted to just win my side really quickly while dealing with the other side in the future turns. My opponent did put down 2 marksmen, and they're actually countering my composition quite nicely because I don't have any chaff in round 1. But I am still feeling pretty confident with what I'm about to do because of this arc light. Yes, there's a lot of crawlers here, but as long as my arc light can get to these crawlers, it should be pretty good. It's very unfortunate that my marksman died here. Alright, we're still doing a bit of damage. Oh. Got really lucky with the marksman. And was able to win this round. Alright, round 2. First, let's look at the unit cards. They skipped for the red player, or the blue player, I suppose. So blue is at the top in this time. I usually call blue as the bottom player, but right now blue's at the top. So they skipped for the player at the top. Alright, and they skipped for me as well. This round is pretty straightforward. All I needed was some chaff to delay the advance from, or not the advance, the bombardment from these 2 marksmen onto my sledgehammers. My opponent did decide to add additional squads of sledgehammers just to match me on this side. So it's 3 chaff versus additional sledgehammers and a chaff. Now, unfortunately, my chaff got cleared a little bit too quickly, and because he has so many tanks that he was able to overpower me entirely on this side. So this is a bit of a problem, because if he can consistently take wins like this on this side, his tanks are going to get level a lot faster. When you're in a mirror matchup, the side with more levels will almost guarantee to win in the end, because he will just scale you a lot faster. A level 2 sledgehammer is going to kill a lot more level 1 sledgehammers than the other way around, potentially preventing you to ever leveling on those units. Alright, great cards. I think Rhino is probably the best choice here. Now it's just up to both of us to position our Rhinos appropriately so that we get the most out of them. For me, my thought was to have the Rhino all the way at the corner on his weak side, and mobile beacon the Rhino straight to the tower. My opponent decided to flank me on the bottom. The flank isn't terrible, but it does take a while to teleport in. And while that level 3 Rhino is teleporting in, I should already reach the tower and hopefully get a debuff. I don't have enough money, unfortunately, to deal with whatever's happening on the other side. And my opponent did take range on a sledgehammer, so he's going full carry sledges. The first tech sometimes is a bit tricky, right? You can take range or you can take mechanical rage. Mechanical rage allows your tank to level up a little faster, but range allows them to stay in the fight a little bit longer. And if your goal is to like reliably level up your sledgehammers, I think taking a range is actually a pretty good idea. I started flanking him with a set of crawlers because I didn't want the crawlers to come up and distract my Rhino with the tower. So as expected, my Rhino did get the tower before the Rhino from my opponent teleported in. And as the result of the debuff, I was able to clear up the rest of his army. So it doesn't matter if he has a rhino running around. He doesn't have anything else. A few very interesting cards. I think deployment spec is interesting if you want to put down more chaff. I did end up choosing subsidized Mustangs because in the scenario where I did want to go against his sledgehammers in a sort of a sledge off, having more Mustangs both serve as a chaff clear but also as a bit of chaff themselves can prove to be very useful. And with subsidized Mustang, you can almost treat them as chaff. They're only 150 supplies, so there's nothing wrong with that. The reason I picked that, another reason was because I noticed that my sledgehammers did get level. So now I am slightly ahead of my opponent in the leveling department, and I have an opportunity to completely stop my opponent's sledgehammers from leveling. And that's huge, right? But I did need to answer this rhino problem, and Mustangs just aren't going to cut it. And I'm not about to put down like a level 2 marksman here because they're pretty useless on this side of the board aside from up against this rhino. So I went with a different route. I did take improved wasp the turn before, thinking I was doing something cheeky, but now I'm going to use this wasp simply as a defensive unit to deal with this rhino. My other rhino is still doing great. There was a bug here, even though I did mobile beacon him all the way to the tower. He stopped just short of the tower and started attacking units around. There have been some of these pathing bugs. I'm sure the community noticed it. I'm sure you've noticed it. Mostly just happened in the last 4 weeks. So hopefully these bugs gets fixed. I know the team at Game River is getting ready for the next big patch, and I heard there might be a new unit. So maybe they're doing something wonky to accommodate this new unit, new mechanism, but we'll have to see. Alright, very lucky with the rhino, even though I didn't get the tower in time, but it did eventually get the tower. And these wasps were the real MVPs of this game, not only able to take care of the rhino, but also taking the round. Junior Man is very attractive. Right now, I don't have any need to go giants on my side of the board. I already have improved wasp, and I think these wasps could develop into carry units. I did level this one because not only is going to kill this rhino a lot faster and also able to participate in the fight a lot faster. I'm going to try the same trick twice. My opponent is going carry sledgehammers, which means he'll probably stick with this composition until a unit drop. The sledgehammers aren't excellent against rhino, especially now they're level 4, and it doesn't matter if you have mech rage, level 4 rhino is still going to slice through you. I was a little worried about being stuck on things like the chaff or like crawlers, so I took Whirlwind. So now it's just a blender going straight to the tower. I haven't really done much to my right-hand side. I put a rhino down here to defend against these level 2 crawlers, but on the right-hand side, I'm really not doing too much. I'm hoping that my rhino is still going to get to the tower before they eliminate the rest of my army. And it looks like that is going to be the case. And my level 2 wasp are going to get a lot of damage down on these sledgehammers. While on the other side, my level 1 rhino is just going to go in and start spinning on my opponent's army. Alright, so far a pretty unconventional build, but it does leave a lot for my opponent to exploit. Nano came out, and Nano is just an instant pick because I have a level 4 Rhino. And if I put Nano down, nothing short of a melting point can really kill it on this side of the board. My opponent can go melting point right here, right now. But we are in round 6, which means there's going to be a unit drop in the next 2 rounds or so. I want to make sure that I get even more value out of this Rhino before he puts down the melting point. So instead of selling it, I decided to support it with 2 squads of level 2 wasp with ground spec. So the thought is, right now the only thing that shoots up here is these fans, and I'm gonna get rid of these fans with a missile. Once the fans are gone, the only thing that can really deal with these level 2 wasps is either fans from the middle, which right now looks like it's just gonna go to my fans, allowing my wasp really to kill a melting point, even if there is one. Ground spec is so powerful, as you can see here. A few wasps just getting onto these level 2 sledgehammers and absolutely destroying them. It's one of those skills that it's easy to overlook, right? Because when you look at wasp, like the first tech you want is probably range. It allows them to contest the fans effectively, allows them to live a little longer. But when you have a big tank like a level 4 Rhino in front of you and your wasp is there to support, you want them to do as much damage as they can. Ground spec increases their damage by 200%, so you 3x this unit's damage. Alright, speaking of the unit drop, we have Melting Point. Melting Point should spell the end of my Rhino. I was a bit hesitant, but here's my rationale. These are level 1 melting points, okay? Melting points does a tick, I guess. That's how they calculate damage, even though it looks like a big laser beam. But they do like a attack every 0.2 seconds. Level 1 melting point, I think at the maximum level, does about 30,000, I believe. 30,000 damage every 0.2 seconds, which is significant, mind you. However, it takes about 5 seconds to charge up. And once it does charge up, right, 30,000 per every 0.2 seconds. With the Rhino, I'm already almost at 100,000 HP, which means I should be able to tank a melting point even at full charge for almost a full second. With Nano is also going to take some of that back. So I'm just looking at this board. I'm just like, okay, what will my opponent do? Well, first of all, he's going to put down more fans because now my wasps are getting a little out of control. And then secondly, he's going to want to protect his melting point. So I end up taking my own melting point. If he does put the melting point further at the front, my melting point can effectively contest his melting point. If he doesn't have it at the front, then I wanted to make sure that I have a technology to disable his range, which is very common as the first tech pick for melting point. So what I end up doing is I just said, you know what, let's get EM Barrage. It takes care of shields on the fans from a distance, making them easier to kill by these wasps. It also disables the melting point in case it does go range, so my melting point can just walk up and deal damage. And my wasp is going to finish everything else. So it seems to work, and with that, it is GG. So I hope you enjoyed this game. And if you do like this game, feel free to like and subscribe. And also, if you have a game you couldn't figure out, just drop your replay in the Mechabellum Discord, tagging Stoney, and I'll take a look at it. All right, until then, I'll see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.